Hey everybody, it's Emily at Arc Schooling, and it's time to talk about what I read during spooky season. So I decided I didn't want to do a wrap up the last couple of months. I didn't feel like I could talk about what I was reading, and like I've been just in a really weird slumpy place, so I haven't done a wrap up in a while. But I thought I would do like a highlights reel about what I read during spooky season, which I'm gonna say is from September to the end of October. Clearly still not the end of October, I still have a whole week, but like I'm probably not gonna finish much this week because I have a lot going on and I have a book I need to read for book club, so like that's my focus this week. So I thought I would go ahead and talk about some of the things that I thought were worthy of talking about in this video. Let's get started with Your Favorite Scary Movie by Ashley Cullins, which is one of my rare 5-star reads this summer, this fall, I should say. And I loved this book because it's about one of my favorite movie franchises. This is a book about the Scream movies, and I will always eat up a book talking about a favorite movie, whether that's The Princess Bride or the Scream franchise, or just like in general talking about my favorite horror movies, things like that. I love that. So this was highly entertaining. It talked about like how the process worked, getting the movies written, getting them from script to screen, talking about like the way the franchise developed over time and like each of the movies and like what they had to do to keep it interesting, to keep it focused without getting too off the rails and jumping the shark and all of that. And I just thought it was a really great time. I love the Scream franchise. I have been watching it as they came out since the beginning. I remember going to the movie theater to see the first like 2 movies with my friends in high school, so like I've been there since the beginning. It's one of my favorites, so I am forever a Wes Craven stan. Next I want to talk about Breathe In, Breathe Out, and this is by Brian McCauley. I want to say it's something about candy cane. I'll put something up here. I read that last year during the Christmas season, and I was like, wow, that was way better than I expected. I went in expecting just a cheesy, silly, like slasher, and it was, but it was also like really good, and I enjoyed the characters and the writing was really good, so I was like, okay, if I come across something else he's written, I'm gonna pick it up. And when I saw he had a new book out this year, I immediately had to read it, so I got myself the audiobook. And I really liked this. I'm gonna have to read everything by Brian McCauley from now on because like, how have I not known about this? What I like about this, I'm a fan of slashers. I enjoy slashers. Are they great horror? They're like not cinema, but I love the idea of them and they're really fun. And what I love about Brian McCauley's books, and I've only read 2, but what I love about them so far is that he takes the elements of a slasher, but he works in enough character development that like you actually care about what's happening, which is rare with slashers, But anyway, this one is about a woman who is going to this like health retreat with her friends, and like things start to happen while she's there. She's also dealing with this grief of losing her spouse and how that has been affecting her. And that's one of the reasons she's on this retreat. It's like a health resort kind of situation where you have to like give up your cell phone and do what you're told and drink this tea and feel these feelings. And like, it's like a little bit weird, but she's like, yeah, if it helps, I'll play along. And obviously weird things start happening. And like people start dying. And it was really an interesting story, and I was in it. I was there. It's hard, I think, for a slasher to maintain the element of like caring about the characters, because they're all usually obnoxious and you kind of just don't care when they die, or if you just want to see how they die, you know? But I felt like this was actually me like rooting for the final girl and like wanting her to be okay and wanting her to make it out and that kind of thing. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good time, and I gave that 4.5 stars. I finally read Bunny by Mona Awad. I've had this on my shelves for forever, and I was determined to get to it because like I'm in a process of going through all of my books and weeding things out, especially if I've had it for a very long time. I'm like, okay, I have to be serious right now and go through this. So I finally picked up Bunny, and I'm still working out my feelings. This is straddling a line between a 3 and a 4. I gave it a 3.75, but I'm still thinking about it, so now I'm wondering, should I raise my rating? And I might want to reread it because I feel like I need to read it one more time to fully digest what was happening in the story, because it's super weird. So essentially, this is about a girl in this prestigious school. She's getting her MFA, she's in this writing program, and she makes fun of this clique of girls that call themselves the Bunnies. And they call each other Bunny, and she just finds them really annoying, but she also is so intrigued by them that she gets swept up in their wake, kind of. And what is it that they're doing? Because they're behaving in such a weird way, and they're doing some kind of weird experimental things, and I don't really want to tell you more than that, because this is one of those stories where the less you know going in, the more weird and intriguing the story itself is. So if you like weird things and you don't mind a story that goes fully off the rails, this might be for you. Like I said, I'm still thinking about it. There are things that I definitely liked. Like, I do enjoy really weird books. I really do like when things go off the rails. That is not a negative for me. But there were also some things that are a negative for me in this book. So like I'm still processing it. And I'm possibly gonna change my rating at some point. But right now, I'm giving it a 3.75. I read The Haunting of Velkwood by Gwendolyn Keist, and I loved this. I did give this a 4.5 because I feel, again, like on a reread, I might change my rating to a 5, but right now, in the moment, it wasn't quite a 5. But that could also just be the mood I have been in. Okay, so this is a book about a haunted street. So it's if you like haunted house books with a twist, I think you might like this. So this is a story where we're following these two girls who are like the sole survivors of whatever happened on this street. And they are dealing with the trauma of that. Okay, so the street that is haunted is like behind this veil, and you can't really get to it. People are studying. The paranormal experts are like studying, but they can't get in. And she comes back and she can get in because it's her street. And so she's willing to go in and try to see if she can find her sister. Her sister got left behind, and she wants to find her and bring her back if she can. So I'm going to leave it at that, because I feel like any more and I would start getting into spoiler territory. What I liked about this were, again, the characters are really well done. Like, I'm excited to read more from this author. I've read, I think, 2 of her short stories. Possibly 3? Definitely 2. And I really, really liked them. Like, one of them was like my favorite short story in the whole collection of that American Cannibal book. Another short story I read was really good. And so I really wanted to read something full length. So I had this, and so I wanted to try something out. I'm definitely going to read more. I find her writing very interesting. It's very feminist, very like, I don't know how to describe it, but there's something about her writing that just tickles something in my brain, and I love that. So I'm very excited to read more from this author. I've already talked about this book multiple times, so I'm not going to go into great detail here. If you want to hear more about Blood Slaves by Marcus Redmond, I have a Vampire Rex video I just put up. I also have a reading vlog where I read this, so I'm not going to I'm not going to talk too long because I've already done that, but I love this. This was one of my only 5 stars. I have like maybe 3 5-star books. And this is one of those rare ones. This is a story about vampires. Obviously, this is a historical horror where we are living in this alternate 1700s America where some of the enslaved people become vampires and have an uprising. And it's a vengeance story, and it's really well done. I was really blown away by this book. I went in with really high expectations, and I was expecting to have them dashed. So I was pleasantly surprised that this turned out to be a win for me. Because usually when I put really high expectations on a book, I'm disappointed. This story is not for everyone. It has a lot of trigger warnings. You should definitely look into that. Like, this is brutal to read. There are some really awful scenes of enslaved people being treated horribly. And so beware of that going in if you want to pick this up. I do recommend, if you can handle that, I recommend it. Like, I loved this, but I know that not everyone is up for that. So just know going in that it's brutal, it's violent, there are some really hard passages, but the vengeance is fantastic. The vampire mythology in this was really interesting. It's something I hadn't really seen before, and I loved that. And I just think it was a really interesting read. I'm excited because this is the first book. There's going to be a second book out next year. Definitely looking forward to that. My other 5-star was Feral and Hysterical by Sadie Hartman. I'm a sucker for a book about books. Give me a book list. I will devour any book list. Like a book about books with book lists? Yes. This is Mother Horror's Ultimate Reading Guide to Dark and Disturbing Fiction by Women. So everything in this book is written by women, and she's got it divided up into a variety of little book lists. So like different topics, like books about mothers and motherhood, books about sisterhood, books about weird kids, books about vintage horror. We got books that are like Frankenstein retellings. We have books about different kinds of gothic horror. It's so good. Like there is a list in here for everyone. I think you could find, any reader could find something in here. But if you are a person like me who is getting into reading more horror and diversifying what you're picking up and looking for new authors to try, and you're looking for different like genres of horror, I think that you would find something in here for you. The last book I want to talk about is The Possession of Alba Diaz. This is by Isabel Cañas. This has been like my year of Isabel Cañas. I've read everything by her, I think, at this point, unless she's got some short stories. If so, let me know. I will definitely be seeking out anything she writes. This is a story about demon possession. What I love about Isabel Cañas is her books have great atmosphere and great romance. And I know what you're thinking. Emily, you don't like romance. Emily does like romance. Emily just likes romance within a greater plot. I'm not a fan of just reading a romance novel. I need a plot. I need something extra to pull me in, and then I can enjoy the romance. I don't want the romance to be the plot. Anyway, so this is set in the 1700s, and we are following some different characters who are all involved with this mine in Mexico. And the main character, Alba Diaz, obviously gets possessed. Like, that's not a spoiler. It's the name of the book. And so the story is about, like, what happens to her during that possession. And it's also about her coming to terms with what she's going to do with her life. When we meet her at the beginning of the story, she is settled on the idea of marrying for money and prestige. She just wants a better life. She wants to get out from underneath what she's been living with, and she's settled on, I don't need love, I just need a better life in general. So she is settled on that, and then she meets Elias, and he makes her start rethinking all of that. But also she's possessed by this demon entity thing, and it's a really interesting story, and I just ate it up. I will be reading everything Isabel Cañas writes. I feel like this has been a year of me exploring different genres of horror and trying out new things and finding new things to be obsessed with. And I feel like even though I had a really bad reading slumpy period, I did pick up some authors that I will just like have to read more of going forward. So I think it was, I don't know if I want to say it was worth the slump, but I think that I have enjoyed the digging out of the slump to find new things to read, if that makes sense. So those are the highlights of my reading. It was not as many as I usually have, but you know what? It's okay. Everyone's having a hard time now. I am not alone here. But I feel like I am excited going forward for all the things I'm going to be reading, because I have a lot of stuff. Like, going through my shelves is especially exciting because I've needed a kick in the pants to do this for so long. So it's good that I'm finally there. I'm finally in the point where I'm like, no, you have to read what you own. So interesting to see where that goes. So let me know what your spooky season highlights were. I would love to know what your favorite spooky books, what your favorite books in general this time of year have been. I'm always looking for recommendations, and I loved hearing what you guys are reading. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Happy reading. Bye!